Then why should you care when he's out there jumping up and down with every woman he sees?
Am I allowed to ask questions, Bishop? Conroy, why are you so eager about whistling in the dark that our father was murdered?
Yes, because he was. He was murdered. I mean, he was foaming when he died. What you call the tower report?
I foam in my mouth when I sleep. Does that mean I'm poisoned?
Oh, Chikondi, stop being stupid. We are not in the mood for your rubbish right now.
And the black sheep speaks.
Don't call me that.
If I tell you what to do, are you going to do it? Call Amose for me. Tell him I love you.
Amose of all people, sure.
Natika itana Amose. Itazipaya. That's what's up with us. Okay.
Don't be stupid. Huh? You think I'm foolish? Huh? You want to play with me? You don't know me, I can be as standing as a clock there. Huh? Where you go? Huh? You don't want to tell me?
Outside. And outside we shall be singing goodbye, dear CJ. We shall never forget you. Although you are very far away, we shall never forget you.
Last time unabona mvuta nkaniache.
Ndio
Bobo.
Ayo mavuta hiyo. Wana Asha.
Wakunde.
Uyu kambio chichi nduja kutia kunda malindi ashari so
Ini si waiona pale.
I didn't expect the overwhelming response. You know, I was in Chingola performing with the fantasy band, and I saw the video on TV on television. I was like, what? The next time I'm coming out, Sister D. I was like, how do I manage? Wow. You know, you get on a bus. I mean, we're using a bus. The conductor is busy calling people. Hey, Ngenani, your Sister D, are in bus. How am I going to handle this?
Wow.
You know.
Good afternoon, Zambia. Welcome to another edition of Beyond the Whistle. It's exactly 1600 hours Central African time on the 9th of August 2026. It's the second day in as far as the quarterfinals is concerned at Wafcon 2026. And we are going to give you the lowdown in terms of what happened yesterday in the two matches that have been played so far in the round of 8 or the quarterfinal stages, plus build up to the two matches that you can expect today. It's three countries from West Africa in the form of Ghana, Cameroon, and of course Nigeria, and of course from Southern Africa representation coming through the scorchers of Malawi. So those are the four teams that are battling out in as far as getting a place to the semi-finals, and of course which doubles up as a World Cup qualification spot. We already know from yesterday's matches that two teams, to be more precise, Algeria and Morocco, have safely punched their ticket to the World Cup and of course have qualified to the semi-final. For the case of Morocco, it's the third time in consecutive Wafcon tournaments that have made the semi-final of this particular tournament. But from Algeria's perspective, it's the first time they're making it to the Final Four. That is coming up in this edition in as far as Beyond the Whistle is concerned. Plus, we'll give you a lowdown in terms of our topic of discussion, which is explaining the importance of Wafcon 2026 playoffs. And this is very, very important because we're reaching that particular, point in the tournament where the playoffs are about to take center stage. So we want to give you the lowdown in terms of what you need to know about why the playoffs are taking place and the significance of these playoffs in this particular, Wafcon 2026. To make sense of all this, I'm joined by two illustrious, brains in as far as football is concerned, especially on my immediate left. Expert in as far as women's football is concerned. She's been on the touchline with the Copper Queens at the 2018 Wafcon tournament as assistant coach. Coach Beauty Mwamba is alongside me. Coach, welcome to the show.
Good afternoon, Isaac, and thanks for having me once again.
Okay. You didn't see the result yesterday coming. You were sitting on the fence, or maybe you were patriotic towards your southern neighbors, but it didn't come to pass.
I was patriotic, and actually we could have picked positive results, except South Africa did not utilize their chances, and they woke up late towards the end of the match.
Okay, all right. Coach William Jobu also joins us on set to give us a player and, of course, a coach's perspective on matters happening at Wafcon 2026. Coach, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Isaac.
Okay. Let me begin with you for a start, because we already know that Coach Beauty is very, very biased towards Wanyana. But let's begin with Algeria yesterday. Coming back from a go down and getting the victory over Ivory Coast. Everybody had fancied Ivory Coast to get the job done, but the Algerians had other ideas.
Yeah, well, I think I also thought Ivory Coast were going to carry the day. I think they started very well. They used their physicality, very, very good, and they used it well in yesterday's game. They bullied Algeria, I think, throughout the first maybe 30, 40 minutes. Yeah, but I think the red card and the other, cards that accumulated, yellow cards, I think really played a part in Ivory Coast performance going to in the second half. But I think I was disappointed because I really was hoping that Ivory Coast make it to the World Cup, because I saw a team that, can really go and, compete at the World Cup stage.
Okay. It's over a decade that the Ivory Coast had not been at the Wafcon, Coach Beauty. Is disappointment the right words to describe their outing at Wafcon? I mean, getting out of the group is definitely a good effort on their part.
No, it won't be right term to use, because at least they showed some character and they managed to get out of their group, unlike other teams which could not even make it. So for me, it was one of the best teams, except they did not get certain things right. They started well the first match. They were very physical, but that resulted them into accumulating a lot of cards. They had yellow cards, and I think that also led to their change in the style of play in the second half, because they became less physical, and surprisingly, Algeria became more physical, and they also started receiving cards, but they managed to get the two important goals, which helped them to win. So Ivory Coast was a good side, except they did not utilize their chances well. Imagine even missing a penalty. That could have changed the complexion of the game. So we wouldn't say that it was a disappointing outing. For me, it was one of the best teams, and their performance was good. Okay.
In a blink of the eye, we cross over to, Rabat in a blink of that particular eye. And this is the beauty of technology. Speaking to Coach Beauty and Coach William, now we can speak to our man on the ground, Mike Mwanga, who's covering the tournament at Wafcon 2026 in Morocco for us. Mike, first and foremost, the fact that Coach Beauty is talking about a missed penalty as one of the pivotal moments. How much do you think the red card impacted the tactics of the Ivory Coast in this particular encounter against the Algerians?
Well, it was a very unfortunate red card, you can call it, because Ouedraogo is one of the crucial players for Cote d'Ivoire. She's been very pivotal in Cote d'Ivoire's progression to the quarterfinals. And so it looked like a clash of the forward versus Chloe Ngazi. But when it went to the VR room, obviously this show has explained VR in detail, and also the needs or what you see in the VR room. So when they saw that as a very reckless challenge, and it's worthy of a red card. So that changed the game in totality. But it looked like Cote d'Ivoire were the ones to get back strong after that mishap. They got the goal. Then at 1-1, there was that penalty. Chloe Ngazi, yes, went the right way, but that miss proved pivotal. But you have to give it credit to Algeria coach Farid Benstiti. I think he's cooking something because he made very good changes from the 50th minute, and in the 55th minute it paid because one of the players, Ineth Skiri, came from the bench to score the winner, and the water goal. Well, the goalkeeper should have done better on that one, but in the end, Algeria through to the semi-finals and their first ever World Cup appearance.
Coach William, I want to come back to you because the manner in which those two goals were scored from quite a distance, from a goalkeeping perspective, were those, goalkeeping errors? And would the goalkeeper, would we be right to say that the goalkeeper would have done a little bit better in preventing those two goals?
Yeah, well, we would say the goalkeeper would have done better, but also we should not away the fact that, these players applied the right techniques to score these goals. So at the end of the day, the goalkeeper might have done better, but also the ability, for these players that scored these goals, for me, is the one that I would say they did better than the goalkeeper. So at the end of the day, we might blame goalkeepers here and there, but we should also see how these shots were taken. And if you look closely, you'd see that, the first one was like a lob, is not really a shot. Inside foot, goalkeeper was a bit inside. And the question is, why was the goalkeeper inside? Because the ball was very far from, coming as a cross, because there was a very big distance. I think it was out of the 16-yard. So meaning that, again, yes, goalkeeper made a mistake because she was a little bit further inside. Could have been, if she was a bit back, I don't think the goal was going to go in. So, yeah.
I want to get your thoughts, Coach Beauty, on the mental strength of the Algerian side. This is a side that in this particular tournament have never been behind, and they had to come from behind in this match against the Ivory Coast. What does that tell us about the mental strength that this Algerian side have in this particular tournament?
Wow, I would say they are a determined team, but also kudos goes to the technical bench, because if you saw their approach when they started the match, they were in a very low defensive block because they knew the strength which Ivorians posed. They had pace, physique, everything to just overpower them. So they tried to play low so that they don't give them enough space. But the moment they saw that Ivory Coast were given a red card, everything changed. We could see them now. They started attacking, and that paid off. So for me, their players well psyched. The technical bench the technical bench was able to see the opportunity and they seized it. And like what we saw when our powerhouse played against Nigeria, one player down, but we couldn't utilize the opportunity, and we lost. You see, so for me, Algeria, it's a composed team. It's a composed team, and they have the quality in terms of the technical abilities for them to be able to play. And it's a team that listens to instructions. They play as a block, but their mental strength also is up there. So we can't take away anything from them, because Ivory Coast was a better side. They started well. They, so to say, they could not overpower those people, but they utilized the opportunity.
Okay. Coach Beauty talks about, tactics, Mike, and in particular, I want to talk about one individual in the Ivory Coast setup, and that's their coach, Reynaud Pedros, a huge figure, already coached the likes of Morocco. How much should we credit him, for the brand of football that we're seeing the Ivory Coast play at this Wafcon 2026?
It's free flowing. It's very good to watch. Cote d'Ivoire yes, they came through the other side of the door, but you've seen the level of football is high. This is a man that's distinguished. He won the Champions League with Olympique Lyon, then came to coach Morocco, whom he led to the 2022 Women's Africa Cup of Nations finals against South Africa when he coached the Atlas Lionesses of Morocco. So he's gradually even understood the game on the African continent. He's got a number of players that are playing in Europe, some within the basis of Africa, but he's understood the game very well. He reads it very well. Yes, he was unfortunate. And to add on what Coach William has said, I think the second goal, again, the goalkeeper could have done better. Yes, the ball bounced in front of Diakite, but I think it was going to be better. But hope is not lost for Cote d'Ivoire. They still have a chance to get through to the FIFA Women's World Cup in Brazil next year. So he has now enough time. He has 2 days to perfect what he needs to do to get through to one of the intercontinental playoffs.
Okay, we're going to get to that in a moment or two. But before we do that, let's go to the second, of those quarterfinals played yesterday, and Morocco managing a 2-1 victory over South Africa. Coach Wheeler, let me come to you first and foremost. We were debating this yesterday, and I think you got it right that, Morocco is going to get the better of South Africa. What gave you the confidence in the first place that Morocco would beat South Africa in this particular encounter, considering that the immediate past, meeting between the two sides ended in favor of South Africa?
Yeah, I think Morocco have shown massive improvement from the last Wafcon that we saw them, even in the last final that they played against Africa. And the group stages also showed, made me believe that this is a team that, they are now back again at the Wafcon, trying to get back to the finals, trying to even win it because they've lost it twice in the final. So, football doesn't lie, Isaac. And when you see a team from one season to the other, 1 year or the other, or one Wafcon to the other, and you watch them, you compare the performances that Morocco has showed in the last Wafcon and the performance they've showed now, you could see a lot of improvement from this team. And at the end of the day, when you see this kind of football, it makes you only believe that this team is developing and this team, is destined to actually finally win the cup that they're really yearning for. So this is where I drew my confidence in what I saw. Not to say that South Africa were not good. I think South Africa showed the experience, showed that they're not a team that you can write off, showed that they are these are reigning the current champions. So, but at the end of the day, I think Morocco, until now, they are a team to beat.
Okay. Coach Beauty, the first goal, again, it looks like, from my perspective at least, like it was a goalkeeping error. Swat looked like she was inside, but it take nothing away from Sakina Ouzraoui's finish. But it's the fine margins in these huge encounters that make the difference. And was that a pivotal moment, giving away the opening goal in that particular match?
It was a similar situation to the goal which Inez for Algeria scored. Yeah. And the similar mistake for the goalkeeper. I think Swat was off the line. But then the goalkeeper can make errors, but most of the time the goalkeeper is supposed to be protected by the infield players. Yeah. So look at the overlapping effective fullback who managed to actually bring in that cross. For me, the penalty area and that space outside the penalty area, players are supposed to man mark and not to zone mark. Yeah. So I think ball watching for Karabo, Dlamini was close to Ouzraoui. I think maybe she was anticipating to say she was going to control that ball, but that was class. She didn't control. She just connected, and it was a beautiful goal. So for me, that they could have done better. But you have said to say those critical moments, they make a difference. Otherwise, it was a well-balanced first half.
Okay, let's hear from the lady who opened the scoring in as far as that second quarter final, Sakina Ouzraoui, talking about how determined her side is to go all the way. This is in reference to the fact that Coach William has already mentioned that they've lost back-to-back Wafcon finals, so they are determined to go all the way.
Tell me about the second goal, beautiful goal.
Yeah, beautiful goal, but it doesn't matter how beautiful it is. I think that what matters is how it gives us the win with the penalty of Hanan. It was a goal really important because it came in a moment that we was not good in the game. But yeah, God is great. So He make it on the best moment for me, on the perfect moment, and yeah, we are happy that we won this game. We're on the semi-final. We will look to our with who we will play, against who are we playing, and yeah, the goal is go to the final.
You had ball recoveries, and also what does it mean to qualify to the World Cup? Those two questions.
It's a dream. It's a dream to everyone, and more in Brazil. So it's a big step. I think it's a dream for every player, young player, men's, woman. It's a big dream to be in Brazil. We will be there next year. We are so happy. But now it's past. Now it's past, and sorry. Now it's past, and we just have to focus to the next game.
So those are the thoughts of the lady who broke the deadlock yesterday against, South Africa in that second quarterfinal, Sakina Ozraoui. Mike, let me come back to you. You were a busy bee in that, mixed zone in Rabat. I just want to get your thoughts on how impressed you've been with, Sakina Ozraoui. If you think about Morocco before this particular tournament, the names that come to mind is probably Shabak, Tagnut, Sanam Sudi, they are the key players, the star players ahead of this, particular tournament. But, Sakina Ozraoui has really accounted for herself really well in this particular tournament. How impressed have you been with her performances thus far?
Well, she's been a gem, but before I just talk about her in totality, I want to add to what Coach Beauty said about Hanan, the assist that she gave Sakina for that connection. Yeah. I think Hanan has been a very key player. She went on to score the winning penalty for Morocco. So in terms of player of the match, for me, it was always going to be a Benzina, Hanan, or an Ozraoui. But for Ozraoui, yesterday's statistics stood at 11 ball recoveries, and that's insane for a player of that caliber. Yes, she's only found the back of the net 2 times for Morocco at this tournament. Her first coming off against Kenya, and her second yesterday, crucial in that intelligence that she had. But she's been a very key player. But Morocco have come in this tournament without their fully fit players, and now they'll be sweating on the fitness of Shebak, who went out a bit injured, and she was seen limping off to the dressing room. And also Tagnahot came in to start the game for her first start of the tournament after only playing 18 minutes across the 3 games. So it's been Ozraoui who's been pushing strings. Of course, Sanam Sudi, yes, she's been very key, but sometimes her decision making gets to lose her. She got a yellow card, unnecessary yellow card yesterday, but Ozraoui has been fantastic. And for me, she would have a huge say if Morocco had to claim their first Wafcon win. Of course, for this game against South Africa, they had not beaten them. 2022, they lost in the finals. In 2025, during a friendly, South Africa beat them 2-0. But this time, the likes of Sakina Ozraoui are really making sure that Morocco play the nice football that people of Morocco are expecting.
Okay, Coach William, what does this do for the confidence level of this Moroccan side, beating a side that they've never beaten at the Wafcon? And, mentally, psychologically, how does that help them, especially as they go into the semi-finals?
Well, I think it does lead to psychologically because, yeah, it's a team that beat you in the last Wafcon, and years have passed. And for the confidence, yes, it changes something. You say, okay, we've knocked out the reigning champions. Now the thing is, they are looking at the current, next opposition, and they're thinking this is a different ball game. Than we'll be playing a different team, meaning that again, it's going to be different tactics. They are facing different kind of, nation, different country, meaning that is another big headache. And this is the funny part about football is that every game is different. Sometimes, regardless of whether you play the same team 5 times, every game will come different, will give you different feeling. You see different kind of players that are going to come. So, but the psychologically, Morocco are through to the World Cup, and usually this is where they are going to draw their motivation and say, we've gone to the World Cup now. We put all of our focus to try and now go to the finals of the Wafcon again and win it.
Yeah. Let's hear the South African perspective on a disappointing night for them, which ended in that 2-1 defeat. Their defender in the name of Lebohang Ramalepe, speaking about what they've learned from the missed opportunities.
Hard luck today. What do you make of today's game?
Tough one, but I think not all is lost. We still have another chance. We still have another game to play next week. So as a team, we just need to head up and make sure we regroup and take the next match as it comes. So yeah, that's.
You had a strong second half. You almost got the equalizer. What positives do you take from this game going forward?
All I can say is we need to capitalize our chances. I think when you get those chances in front of the goals, make sure you capitalize on them, because coming second half, we knew the last 45 there's no another chance. So disappointed, but we just have to head up and then look forward to the next game.
So those are the thoughts of Lebohang Ramalepe, the defender for Banyana in that particular encounter. Coach, let me come to you, Coach Beauty. South Africa, yes, might have lost that particular game, but where do you think they need to improve on in the next few days to ensure that they get a positive result in those playoff matches?
For me, I'll say psychologically, they also need to improve, because looking at the way they've been playing from the group matches, they start the game on a very slow note, then they only improve in the second half. And we saw that coming to play even yesterday during the quarterfinals, of which it was late. You can hear the player saying, they said the 45 minutes is the last one and there's nothing. So why didn't they give it the whole 90 minutes? Because they were almost equalizing towards the end of the match. So if they had taken the whole 90, as in saying it is the last one, there's no any other time, for me, South Africa would have actually done better than they did, because the first half, they didn't have a shot on target, and Morocco only had one, which resulted into a goal. So meaning it was a 50-50 affair. It was balanced because Morocco was also under pressure. So South Africa is a good side, but I think psychologically they need to do what? To improve. And then the other thing is also utilizing the chances when they get those chances in the final third. If they can be clinical, I mean, they could have knocked Morocco out yesterday, but then they didn't do things right. So psychologically and being clinical in front of the goal, those two things are key.
Okay. Mike, you had the opportunity to interview, some of the players as they came through the mixed zone. What is the general feeling amongst the players, the South African players in this particular case, about their performance yesterday?
Well, like Coach said, this game was all to play for South Africa. The ball possession from the first half to the second half was 51% in favor of Morocco and 49% in favor of South Africa. So that's how close that game was. But also credit to Khadija Omrichi, the Morocco goalkeeper. She kept out very good balls that could have gone in the net. But that's not to say that South Africa were not wasteful and go. Looking at the positivity, of course, Karabo Dlamini there was at fault for not closing in Uzraoui, but she is positive. She says all hope is not lost. She can be able to recover, and the team as well. We also heard from Mbabanane, who is also very positive going into the playoff match. So it's all positivity. And what I love about South Africa, for me, is that their mentality is strong. After the final whistle, Moroccans were celebrating. South African players stayed and they were doing recovery for around 25 minutes. It was so good to watch, and everyone appreciated their mentality, and they look forward to the next game. Really, it was a close context, but you have to take the positives that they saw in the game, and let's see what happens in the next game that they play.
Just one more line about this particular match, Mike. Yesterday was the first time that Morocco conceded in this particular tournament. How are they reacting to the fact that their defense in this particular tournament has been breached for the first time?
They were caught napping. You can't leave Thembi Kgatlana like that. I mean, they thought that she was offside, but she had already seen the ball before they even saw it in the net. So when Thembi cut and just sprinted across, there was no chance that Vieira was going to overturn it. Yes, there was a bit of anxiety because 3 minutes, 30 seconds was spent in deciding that goal. So it was a bit of a lapse on their side, and Khadija had no chance. So South Africa, Thembi Kgatlana fought for the team. At some point, I felt she was the only one fighting that battle. So credit to the player. I think that she took things personal. These players are more like the Barbara Bandas, the Tabitha Chawingas, who take things personal when things go sour. So it was a matter of individual brilliance, but Khadija says that they'll come stronger and try to create a big war that can help them reach the finals of the Wafcon. And what is interesting is that Morocco have reached the finals of the last 2 editions. So this will probably be their third. And there's many people that say a lot about third attempts. So maybe it will go on their side.
Okay, Coach William, I know that we have to wrap up and look at other issues, but just one more line from a player perspective in terms of the second goal that, South Africa conceded, because from my perspective, it looked like the Moroccan attacker, in this particular case, Shabak, had her back towards the goal and she wasn't dangerous. It was a matter of probably trying to shield her and away from goal. But the penalty was still given away by the South African defender. Do we say that the defender was careless in that particular instance in giving away that penalty?
Yeah, first of all, I think when I look closely, I don't think it was like a decision to make that tackle.
Yeah.
Looks like the player slept or something.
Yeah.
But all in all, when we, as a player, defender, when you're in the box, players are not allowed to make,
Sure, you need to be a little bit more cautious.
You're not allowed.
A little bit more.
In fact, the fact that she was not really in a position to even score.
Yeah.
She can score if she's facing the goal and she can shoot that ball. But in this case, she was not really in a position to shoot, or she was just in a position. She was with the ball, but not in a position to cause damage to South Africa. But unfortunately, the challenge happened, and the penalty was given. And if we were to advise, you say you can never make a tackle. You have to stay with the attacking player in the box, stay on your feet, force them to go outside because she was already almost outside.
Yeah.
So force them to go, drift them away from the most dangerous place, and then maybe force them to play the ball back or just close them. Otherwise, defender, when you're in the box, whether you are an attacker, but if you're in the box and defending, you're not allowed to make reckless tackles unless you are very sure that you are the first person on the ball.
Yeah. So let's adjust.
That's how dangerous Morocco is, Isaac, because they always look for contacts.
Yeah.
They want something that will attract something. And when you notice that she's going away from the goal, just push her further. Do not try to get contact, because they know that any feel that they see on the leg, on the arm, it's contact, and with VR, it's a penalty all day.
It's Arabs in general, Mike. It's Arabs in general. These they know very well how to get these things. They know very well. They are waiting for the opportunity.
Yeah. So now they're teaching the women how to do this. My God. Anyway,
Arabs, women or men.
It's not even a matter of gender.
Not at all.
Let's confirm the results from yesterday's matches for you. 2-1 victories for Algeria and Morocco. It means that we have two countries from North Africa represented in as far as the semi-finals of this particular Wafcon is concerned. Let's move on to our topic of discussion, explaining the importance of the Wafcon 2026 playoffs. Mike, let me come to you. For a layman out there, a fan out there, they're saying to themselves, South Africa are out of the competition. Ivory Coast are out of the competition, but you're hearing Ramalepe say that we've got another match in the next 3 or 4 days. What are these playoffs all about?
Well, thank you very much, Isaac. So I'll try to summarize it in a way that people will have to understand where we are coming from, where we are, and where we are going. So the FIFA Women's World Cup obviously started in China in 1991. That was the first FIFA World Cup that was held in China. And the qualification between the 1991 World Cup and the 1995 World Cup is that there were 16 teams. So they started with 12 teams, and from Africa, it's one team. So that meant that the winner of the Women's Africa Cup of Nations would qualify to the World Cup. That was between 1991 and 1995. And then during the 1999 World Cup, the teams were still 16, but between 1999 and 2011, FIFA increased the slots for Africa. So it meant that 2 more slots, meaning the finalists of the Wafcon get to qualify to the World Cup. Then in 2015, there was an expansion of 24 teams, meant that in Africa, 3 teams were given the chance to go to the World Cup. It meant that the top 3, the finalists, as well as the winner of the 3rd place playoff match. So it meant 3 teams going. Then from 2023, FIFA expanded the World Cup to 32 teams, the first of its kind, and matching the men's 32 teams. So the same way that FIFA had 32 teams at the men's World Cup, they matched it in Australia and New Zealand in 2023. And that meant that the CAF slots were increased to 4 and 2 playoff qualifications. So the automatic slots are 4. It meant that the semi-finalists get to the Women's World Cup. Then the 2 slots get to play intercontinental qualifiers. So what are these intercontinental qualifiers? The losing quarterfinalists of the Women's Africa Cup of Nations get to play each other. It becomes like a mini semi-final, and the winners of that don't get to play each other there. The 2 winners go on to play against maybe a team from Oceania, a team from South America and North America, and the winners there get to qualify to the World Cup. So that means that in total, Africa can have 6 slots. I want to quickly say that in 2022, in Morocco, it was the first time we had the playoffs, and Cameroon and Senegal won those playoffs, the quarterfinal playoffs, and went on to play in the intercontinental qualifiers. Unfortunately, they lost those 2 matches, and that's how at the 2023 World Cup, we only had Zambia, Nigeria, Morocco, as well as South Africa representing us. Now, in 2031, the next World Cup, there will be 48 teams at the Women's World Cup. Now, FIFA have said, Africa, we are giving you 7 slots and 2 intercontinental playoffs. So there will be 7 slots automatic, then 2 slots that you can go and fight for survival elsewhere.
Okay. Coach Beauty, Mike is talking about the fact that we're going to have playoffs in Africa, and then the 2 teams that emerge victorious in those playoffs will play other teams from other continents. For the sake of our viewers, give us a rundown of how many countries from each, continent will play in that intercontinental playoff.
So for CAF, he has explained to say we need 2 representatives.
Okay.
So for UEFA, they just need 1 because they have 11 direct slots, and then Asia also 2. Then CONCACAF, which is North America, they also need 2. And then we have CONMEBOL South America also 2. And then we have Oceania 1. So UEFA and Oceania 1. So in total, we are going to have 10 teams to compete for the FIFA playoffs.
Okay.
So it will be done in 2 phases, I think. 2 phases. So the first phase should be done by November and December. And it's going to see 6 teams. And then after that, the second phase will be done in February. So out of the 6, only 2 will progress to play the other 4, so that 3 can now qualify. So he has said it, if our 2 teams can go on and qualify, it means Africa is going to have 6 teams at the World Cup.
Okay. Coach William, I want to get your thoughts. If the 2 African teams do qualify to get to the World Cup in 2027 to be hosted in Brazil, plus the 4 that automatically qualify, meaning that we'll have 6 countries representing Africa. Does that increase our chances of winning the Women's World Cup because we have greater number of teams representing us at that tournament?
Yeah, most definitely. I think it increases the chances of Africa, going very far in the FIFA World Cup, and this is what we all looking forward to. Just like in the Men's World Cup, the numbers increase, and yeah, unfortunately we did not go that further, but I think in the Wafcon, I believe if you have more numbers, we stand a better chance, give ourselves a big chance of, progressing further in the tournament. Look at Europe. Europe usually has a lot of teams in the, like Coach Beauty I've already mentioned, they have 11 already. So meaning that they have 11 teams that, can push Europe to win the World Cup. So I'm glad that slowly we getting more numbers. I know the 2 is still a long route to going to Brazil, but I think we have stronger teams that already lost, like the Ivory Coast and South Africa, and any team that I think is going to lose today in the quarterfinals, in these quarterfinal matches today, I think they're still strong teams. But the 2 teams that will come out, I think they're going to be 2 strong teams that I think, can pull it through to Brazil in the World Cup next year.
Okay, Mike, let me come back to you because I'm looking at it from a football association perspective, especially African football associations, where, money and resources are a little bit difficult, to find. Now, knowing fully well that if you lose a quarterfinal, potentially you have to play, the intercontinental playoffs, and it comes in 2 phases, as Coach Beauty has already elaborated on. Is it the FAs themselves to foot the bill in terms of logistics, travel, and so on and so forth? Because I know that could be a headache, for a football association, especially on the African continent, where, as I said, the resources are a little bit scarce.
It's a very long route to qualification. Like William has said, it will be very costly to go through because I remember Cameroon playing Chile away in the Americas. And they have to foot their bills. It's not FIFA's issue. FIFA's issue is to make sure that those games are played. How you reach there, you're an historian. But when you qualify to the World Cup, there will be that preparation package that will be given. So as it stands, you have to foot your bills, and FIFA will set the venues for those intercontinental playoffs. It's not up to the federations to decide and say, oh, we are Cameroon and we'll play from Nigeria. So as it stands, South Africa are waiting the losers of the Cameroon versus Nigeria game. That game will produce a winner who goes on to the playoffs. Then Ivory Coast are waiting for the loser of today's Malawi versus Ghana game, and that game will be a decider to the playoffs. So Nimai Mwene to get to the playoffs, but it's a long route and it's a boring route to qualify to the World Cup. But
just
that's what it does. You are
coming back to the Wafcon 2026 playoffs. These sides like South Africa, like Ivory Coast that have lost, when are they playing these matches? Because it seems like it's already a congested fixture at Wafcon 2026.
Yeah. I have the fixture here. So those losers are playing on the 13th of August. And that's after the semi-final. Then we have those playoffs, and then we have the third place playoff on the 15th. So 13th August, we play the playoffs, then the third place is on the 15th.
Coach Beauty, let me come back to you, because when you go to a tournament like this, where you know at the back of your mind that if we lose the quarterfinal, there is an opportunity for a playoffs. Now, I want to get a coach's perspective on this issue. How difficult is it to motivate players? I mean, Ramalep was talking about the disappointment. And then 3 days later, for Desiree Ellis to lift these players, to motivate them again to play in those playoffs after suffering such a big, psychological blow of, losing out in terms of their dream of winning the Wafcon. How difficult or how easy is that?
Well, I wouldn't say it's easy, but I'm sure the players and the coaches knew, even as they were going to play that yesterday's match, to say they had two routes. The shortest route, which was yesterday's match, it was shorter because they won that match, they were going automatically. The second route is the longest route, like Mike has already said, it's the longest one. So definitely they knew what was at stake, and they would have loved to take the shorter one. But now that they're taking the longer route, they still have to, it's just to encourage them to remain focused and still believe in themselves to say they can do it. It's not easy, yes, because they are motivated, but I think they can still be encouraged to remain focused.
Okay. Coach William, last question on our topic of discussion. Does the fact that at the back of your mind as a coach, as a player, you already know that there's possibly plan B? It's not like a regular tournament. You're out of the quarterfinals, you lose your quarterfinals, you're out of the competition. Does this change the mindset or the approach of the players and the coaches going into a quarterfinal like this one, knowing that you've got a second opportunity to attain your goal of getting to the World Cup?
You mean what? Going in, when you're going into the quarterfinal match?
You're going into a quarterfinal match. Normally, you know it's a knockout match. If I lose this match, there's no other options for me. But now, you're going into a match and you're saying to yourself, okay, even if we lose, there's potentially a second route, a longer route. It might be a longer route, but still to get to our target anyway, which is to get to the World Cup. Does that change the psychology, the mindset of the player in terms of how they approach the game?
I don't think that changes the mindset of a player. Why I'm saying it doesn't change is no one would want to take a longer route when you have a shorter route. So obviously, all the teams, I'm sure, what they wanted, number one, the focus obviously is not even just the World Cup. The focus is the Wafcon trophy. So obviously, all the teams that, have played in the teams that played in the quarterfinals yesterday and the teams that are going to play in the quarterfinals today, all of them, I'm sure they're looking forward to making a qualifying, to the World Cup, direct through the semi-final qualification of the Wafcon. So I don't think it changes the mindset. I believe most of these players, I believe most of the technical benches of these teams, what they want is to go in the semi-finals of the Wafcon, try and win the Wafcon semi-finals and win the finals of the Wafcon. And then the World Cup obviously comes as a bonus, for a team that, make it to the, for the teams that will make it to the semi-finals. They will be looking forward to just go all the way and win the Wafcon, because the greater benefit, the greater reward, for you participating in the Wafcon is winning the Wafcon.
Exactly.
So obviously the preparation was winning the Wafcon. And if going through the qualifying to the World Cup through the semi-finals of Wafcon is a bonus for you. So I don't think the mindset changes, and it only changes if you lose. Then you say, okay, now let's focus on let's focus on how we can make it through to the World Cup.
Okay. Let's, go away from the topic of discussion on this edition of Beyond the Way. So focus on the matches that lie ahead. And let's begin with that match between our neighbors, the Scorchers, up against Ghana. in one of those, quarterfinals you can look forward to today. Let's begin our preview of that match by hearing from the Scorchers captain Tabitha Chawinga, speaking about refusing to underrate Ghana in this quarterfinal match.
As I said last time, we have more young player who doesn't participate in any big competition, but this is the first time for them to participate in Africa Cup of Nations and in the big stage like this. So I think it's very, very important, and for them, I hope by the end of the tournament, 2 or 3 players they will be seen in another teams. Yeah, for this qualification for World Cup, it's very, very important for me, and not only for me, and also for my teammates, my young sister. We know important of World Cup. We need to fight hard tomorrow. So if we can beat Ghana, then we are in qualifying for World Cup. So we believe tomorrow we can do something, inshallah. As you say, maybe Ghana, they will prepare for me and my young sister. I think it's good for me and my young sister, and they will give us motivate. The time they were thinking about me and my young sister, then they have some other player who can do a great job than me and my young sister. So, as I said, I know Kim. I know he cannot just prepare me and my young sister. I think he need to prepare the whole squad of Malawi, because we have quality of players. That is not only Chawinga sisters. As you can see, the Vlos, you can say the Faith Shinzimu. I think the whole squad is a fantastic squad for us.
So those are the thoughts of the Malawi Scorchers captain Tabitha Chawinga ahead of that match against Ghana. Coach Beauty, first and foremost, it seems like everybody in this particular tournament, when you talk about Malawi, they're talking about, how to stop the Chawinga sisters. Is that a good tactic to employ if you're the coach on the other side?
I don't think so. It's not a good tactic. Of course, you cannot ignore the 2 sisters, but football is a team game. So she has even mentioned to say the time they are thinking of closing them, they have other players to deal with. Yes, during the Zambia's match, Faith Chinzimu was deployed as a centre-back, but that was probably because Rosa Alfandika received the red card in the previous match. But she's one of the dangerous players when she's played forward. I know she's a utility player. She plays in different positions. So Malawi, starting from the midfield, going up front, I think all their players are dangerous. So you have Rose Kabzere, who provides those good penetrating passes to the Chawinga sisters. Then you have Faith, who has got pace. She can dribble, and then she can also score. The day they tried to police those 2 sisters, actually, Rose and Faith managed to do it to get the job done. So as a coach, as you plan with your team, you plan for the entire team and not just 2 players, because they play as a team, and any player is dangerous.
Okay, we've heard from the Malawian players' perspective. Let's hear the point of view of their coach, Lavmo Fazili, talking about the magnitude of this particular encounter, especially that qualification to the World Cup hinges on this particular matter, and of course, qualification to the semi-final as well in a single match.
The quarterfinal game, I think it meant a lot to us. This is a very, very important game, and as I've said, that we are very focused, visionary, and serious about this game, because a win it will, I think, take us to another milestone. So we are ready for tomorrow's game, and the players, and even my captain here, I think you know the importance of this game tomorrow. For Asenenyi, I think that is why he's part of the team, because when we qualified last year, she was one of the players who contributed. So for me, I think I thought to invite her to join the team. So it's also a good player, and we're looking ahead, I think, for her to contribute in tomorrow's game.
Coach William, you're hearing the thoughts of the Malawian coach there, Lavmo Fazili. I'm just thinking off the top of my head, the way they qualified, they lost that match against Zambia. Does that have a bearing in terms of their confidence levels going into this particular encounter? I know they qualified, but the manner in which they qualified is probably not the way they would have wanted to get to the quarterfinals.
Well, I don't think the loss against Zambia, will affect them in any way today against Ghana. Obviously, when you lose a game, it provokes something. You say, okay, we lost and we cannot, we can't repeat the same mistakes that we made. I think is a loss of the time is a very big opportunity to learn yourselves more, to even rise up more, it challenges you more to even improve. Like as individual players, they will approach this game today against Ghana saying to themselves that we can, if one of the players or two players, three players in a Zambia game was low in confidence or they did not apply themselves the way they know they should apply themselves, I think it gives them another opportunity, to stand up and say, I think today I need to improve in this, I need to improve in that. And if coaches, like the coach himself, made a few mistakes tactically that he could have applied and see that the team could have, done better against Zambia. If he saw these mistakes, he's going to correct these mistakes against Ghana. So, coming into this fix, I think Malawi are going to come they will come more confident because they are debutant and they'll be looking forward to qualifying to the World Cup. So I think they'll be very strong in this fixture.
Okay. Another fixture that you can look forward to is the All West African Derby between Cameroon and, of course, Nigeria. Let's focus and begin our preview of that match by hearing from Cynthia Collan, the goalkeeper for the Ghanaians, ahead of this particular match, talking about how important and the significance of qualifying to a World Cup it will mean for the women's game back in Ghana.
I have a question for Cynthia. Last time Ghana stayed at the Wafcon. This time the World Cup sport is at stake. What would qualification to the World Cup mean to you as a player and also to Ghanaian women's football in total?
This means a lot to us because it's a big platform out there whereby every player wants to showcase their talent and also show the world what they got. So I think this is very, very important to us, and we really need to work hard and get to where we want to be. I think every team here wants to book a ticket to the World Cup. That is why we are all here fighting for it. So I think we are just focusing on that. And if we're able to book a ticket, that is tomorrow, then we look up to the next level. We just take it step by step.
Before I get the thoughts of my two guests in the studio, let's hear from the Ghanaian coach in this particular inset, talking about how important is it for the Ghanaians to play with an identity that has got them to the quarterfinals of Wafcon 2026.
Surprise for you, maybe? I think they are pretty good. Hardworking group. We played a friendly against them. That was a very physical game, and we know, of course, they have two players in the front, and they are world class. So it's going to be tough for us, but we also see our potential. We believe in ourselves. We think that we have improved in this tournament that we started so. We did a good second half against Cameroon, and we did a good full game, more or less, against Mali. So if we keep doing the right things, hopefully it's going to be a fun game tomorrow as well.
Coach, my name is Mike Mulanga from Zambia. You came through a difficult group to get to the last 8. Now you face Malawi, who you've acknowledged not a small team at this tournament. How do you plan to stop their attacking threats while not losing identity of your own?
I think that's a key thing, like you said, in the end. How do you defend against them without to lose your own shape and your own performance and your own way to attack? So I think that is the balance. We can't just defend with 11 players because we know that they have two good attacking players. So we need to find a balance to do what we can to defend against them, but also believe in ourselves and keep the ball in the team, take care of the chances a little bit better than we have done so far. But we need to do this to our game.
So the thoughts are of Kim Bjorkgren, the coach of the Ghana women's national soccer team ahead of kickoff. Let me just rope Mike Muanga back into the conversation as we go into the dying minutes of today's Beyond the Whistle. Mike, for the sake of our viewers, give us an update in terms of the 4 teams that are going to do battle in the quarterfinals scheduled later on today.
Yeah, very quickly. I think the biggest game today is in Casablanca, Cameroon playing Nigeria. It's the most played Wafcon fixture in the history of the tournament. 14th meeting between these two teams, and guess what? Nigeria have won 9 of those matches, 11 in total, so 9 wins, 2 on penalties. Cameroon have only won 1 match and drawn the other, so that just shows you how the 10-time champions Nigeria fared in this fixture. It will be a clash of titans, and I think Labizaoli Stadium will be a bit sizable in terms of crowds because Cameroon and Nigeria fans have been coming in for those games. So I think that's a pick of a tie today. And then in Rabat, it will be a battle of debutants. Malawi taking on Ghana. Ghana, remember, they finished 3rd at the last tournament. If it were a World Cup qualifier, they would have been already smiling. But this one, they've had to qualify, and they'll be facing a Malawi side whom they beat just 2 weeks ago in the friendly. Ghana beat Malawi 4-0. Doris Boadua scoring a hat-trick, but they didn't have the likes of the Chawinga sisters in that game. So today's game promises to be a blockbuster. Malawi looking to spoil everyone's party from Nigeria's shock loss to now getting Zambia. So those are the 2 games happening at 19 hours and 22 hours here in Rabat.
Okay, Mike, thanks a million for giving us that insight from closer perspectives on the ground in Rabat. Coach William, let me get your final thought in terms of this particular matchup, the West African derby that Mike was talking about. The fact that the head-to-head statistics heavily favor Nigeria, but it also means that these sides meet quite often and know each other, very, very well. In that regard, do you expect a closer match? Because obviously the Ghanaians have been learning and bridging that gap between them and the Super Falcons.
Yeah, I think since they've played, many time record, number of games against each other, I think the fact that also Nigeria has won many games, this only provokes Cameroon, only gives Cameroon more confidence to try and start to change the status quo of the results that Cameroon has gotten against Nigeria. So I think it's going to be a very tight game. Like Mike has said, this is like a highlight game of today's fixtures, and it being big names, Cameroon and Nigeria. We all know what history. When we come to men's game, the history that has been there is that these have been the biggest, these are like biggest teams in African football. So it's going to be a very interesting game, for both teams. Hoping, to see an exciting game from both teams. I wouldn't want, as a neutral, I wouldn't want to see a very close game without flashes of entertainment. I'll be looking forward to see an entertaining game that will, give Africa, something to enjoy.
Okay, Coach Beauty, what are your thoughts over this, particular game? Because it's a huge game. 2 giants of the women's game on the African continent meeting. They say the grass is the one that's going to suffer. Hopefully, the grass doesn't suffer too much, and we see some entertaining football.
Wow, it being a derby, I'll compare it to what happened to the match between Zambia and Malawi. But I think I fancy Nigeria to carry the day because Cameroon, I don't think they've been very convincing. Yes, and even their qualification, it was via ranking, except I won't take it away to say they lost to a better team, which is Algeria, who have already gone through to the semi-finals. So for me, I think Nigeria will win.
Okay.
And not only that, I think yesterday we saw competition between the groups. I think some groups were tougher than the others. So Ivory Coast and South Africa came from the same group and they were both eliminated. So we saw Group A triumphing. So today, I think Group C looks stronger than Group D.
Okay. Quick predictions. Let me begin with you, Coach Beauty. You've already said South Africa. Nigeria getting the better of Cameroon. But in the other fixture, our neighbors up
that
against
one,
Ghana.
actually, my emotions are there on Malawi. So
Okay.
Malawi is carrying the day.
Malawi and Nigeria safely through. Coach William?
Yeah, I'm going to give it to Malawi, and you all know why. And hopefully Malawi win by goal to nil.
Yeah.
And then the other fixture, I fancy Nigeria, just like Coach Beauty.
Okay.
Yeah.
Some of the sharpest minds in Zambian football are on, the desk with me. That's Coach Beauty Mwamba and, of course, Coach William Jovo, giving their insights and, of course, their analytical perspective at Wafcon 2026. Special thanks to my colleague on the ground, that's Mike Mwanga, giving us that, direct interaction in terms of what is transpiring on the ground from Rabat. And, of course, on my own behalf, and, of course, on behalf of those working behind the scenes to ensure that you get the best picture and, of course, sound quality. We'll see you tomorrow from 16, not tomorrow. We'll see you on Wednesday as the semi-finals do come to town with, those last 4 matches on the next edition of Beyond the Whistle. I've been your host, Isaac Chipatanga. Make sure you join us on Wednesday from 16 to 17. God bless and goodbye.
Hi, Mwizukanyi here. I am a proud Zambian woman celebrating the heritage of Mother Zambia. We've always